Pleased to be joined out here right now in the studio by Michael Wilson. Michael, what's going on, man?
Not much. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
I feel like we always get to catch up with you this time of year, and it was great last year because you were talking about, how much you're just looking forward going into year two at that point, and just kind of know the routine. How much do you think that ultimately helped you out last year?
I think it helped me out a lot last year. I think the main success of individually for me is I was able to play most of the season. I played 16 games, and then I ended up having a little hamstring issue on Thursday or Friday going into the last game of the season. But definitely routine, confidence, all the above, it helped a lot. I think just the accumulation of years and just doing over again, you start to figure out what works, what doesn't, and then you can continue to build on your process and build on your plan.
So, Michael, are you a goal guy? You're going into year three right now. How does it feel? Where's your mind going into year three in the National Football League?
Yeah, it's crazy how fast the years stack up. I mean, it feels like during season, the days seem like they go by so slow. The Mondays, the Tuesdays, the Wednesdays, the Thursdays. But then when you look back at the end of the year from a bird's eye view, the years blink by.
Right.
And for me to be going into year three I'm extremely fortunate and in a privileged position because I know there's thousands and thousands of guys that would do anything to have my job. And so my motto this year is if I'm healthy and I have an opportunity to compete every day, then I got nothing to complain about.
In terms of getting better as a player, where are you focused?
Better as a player. I think I'm always constantly and consistently looking for ways to get better. I think for me, an emphasis is going to be yards after catch this year for me. Just looking at last year, I think that's where I'm going to be able to produce more. And I think the target situation is going to be what it is, but I think if I can be more dynamic with the ball in the hands, I think I can add a different element, a different gear to this offense.
I like that, and I agree with you too, man. That is I could see you getting a lot better in terms of running after you caught the ball.
Yes, sir.
No doubt.
We're talking to Michael Wilson. Michael, we just had Drew Petzing in here 20 minutes ago, and he was talking about how it's nice to have bigger receivers like you and Marv out there to work with. What do you see, ideally your role in this offense being this season now going forward?
My role, I think that'll continue to get defined and carve itself out over these next 2 days, and then obviously camp and preseason games and the first couple games of the season. But idealistically, the way I envision myself is a guy that can do everything. I feel like I can play all three positions, X, F, Z, inside and outside. A guy that can be dynamic in the run game in terms of being at the point of attack as a blocker. Someone you can count on to be a possession receiver. And also, I know I don't have the time speed everybody loves, but I feel like in most situations when you throw me the ball downfield, it's going to be a catch. I think my freshman year, my rookie year, I averaged 15 yards a catch. And so I'd like to see that number. It took a dip last year, but I'd like to be in the 13 to 15 yard average per catch this year. And I think a lot of it is going to come what we talked about earlier about yards after catch.
Yeah, okay, that is really cool. We're talking to Michael Wilson here, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals on the Wolf and Luke show. Talk to me about this offense, and what do you see this offense, how do you see it developing in 2025?
Yeah, I think we got to be definitely an emphasis for us. Looking at the stats from last year, our 3rd and 11 plus was pretty bad. And then for, I guess, people out there who aren't educated on what 3rd and 11 plus it means on 3rd down when you have 11 yards or more to go to get the first down, we were really bad in that range. And so I think we need to be better on that from an offensive standpoint. But to be less focused on the answer and give you sort of more of a broad picture, I think truthfully what it comes down to is Kyler. Like, I hate to say that, but when he's playing really well, like I don't see anyone that's better than him in the NFL, and he makes all of our jobs 80,000 times easier. And so when one is on it and playing really, really well, like he's going to give us a chance to win games, not just win tight games. Like we can blow teams out when he's playing, like when he's playing at the Rams level week 2 last year, or the Jets when we played them in week 10. Like when he's playing like that, I don't see any team being able to stop us.
We're talking to Michael Wilson. Michael, you got a full year of playing with Kyler now last year in actual games. Like you
Yes.
said, you were out there for 16 of the games. How does that help you guys going forward? Like we talked to Paris Johnson Jr. a couple weeks ago, and he said accountability on the offense is at a high because everybody kind of knows each other, and you can kind of almost communicate quickly or non-verbally. Do you have that with Kyler and the other receivers?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Kyler, my first year, he was kind of in and out of the building dealing with ACL. Last year was my first year playing with a full season with him. So this year, I think our relationship off the field is a lot more genuine, and we know each other. We'll be able to build like a real authentic relationship. And so getting back to trust and accountability, like I think those two things kind of go hand in hand. The trust that I have in him and the trust that I believe he has in me is at an all-time high. And I saw he did an interview with Bo Brock and Johnny, and he was saying that he believes I'm a 1,000-yard receiver. And so, like, that means a lot to me, and that gives me a lot of confidence because for him to stand on the table like that makes me want to prove him right and prove to him that I can be the receiver that he's kind of throwing me a bone, and now it's on me to sort of prove him right and sort of make the jump and elevate my game to be one of that type of caliber of player.
I don't feel like he's a guy that just says stuff either. Like
Yeah.
if he doesn't believe it, it feels like if he's saying that he believes it usually.
For sure. Absolutely.
You know, Michael, you have, to me, I think you have matured and developed so much from year one to year two. Not like you were some crazy rookie
Yeah.
or anything else. You were not. But I think it's a confidence level. It's
Yeah.
just from year one to year two. How much do you think Marvin Harrison Jr. can actually get more confident going forward as well?
He can grow in a lot of confidence. I don't think there is a ceiling to confidence. I think the most confident players, the most confident people, the most confident receivers that's something I feel like can always
But
improve.
confidence is so important, isn't it?
It is. And confidence is not, it's not sort of like a linear thing. It goes up and down depending on, they say you're supposed to have confidence all the time regardless of circumstance, but if we're being real, circumstance does affect confidence a little bit.
It does.
And if you've had a couple games where you're playing really well, you're going to go into that next game feeling really confident when you've made some tough plays on the ball, when you've beat some good corners on one-on-one routes. Like you go into the next rep feeling really good. Conversely, on the other side, if you've dropped a couple balls, if you've lost some one-on-one reps, if you didn't make some plays, like we've all been in a situation, I think anyone can speak this in any career. This goes in any
Yes.
endeavor of life.
Yes.
We've all got knocked back down a little bit and sort of had to put on our bootstraps and then sort of double down our process and fight back. And so I think for Marvin, from his perspective, looking at last year, he probably would say that he wasn't comfortable with the yards that he had. And I know for him, like, he wants to be a guy that's in the top 10 in terms of catches, yards, touchdowns. Now, that always doesn't paint the picture from a receiver standpoint because a lot of that is out of your control. But knowing the type of competitor he is, like, I know there was a couple of plays last year that he wished he could have back, but even seeing him out on the field, these last 2-3 weeks OTAs, like, you could tell his confidence is elevated a lot from last year.
We're talking to Michael Wilson. Michael, I know it's early to get a read on the defense because there's so many new faces out there,
Yeah.
but what's it going to be like going up against them in practice even all season in terms of, like, you make them better, they make you guys better, if they really are as elevated as they look like they will be?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I think now, instead of, not saying that our defense was bad by any means last year, but we've definitely added a different caliber of, like, interior rush and defensive line.
Yeah.
And so not only are we gonna have to beat our DBs, but we're also gonna have to beat our our edge guys off the line as well. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I think I loved where Monty and JG went with the draft and free agency, because if I was ever in sort of a GM or head coaching role, like, my 3 position groups that I would focus on are defensive line, and quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think they've invested heavily in all 3 positions. So especially from the defense line, I'm super excited to see the couple of the new guys that we got, because that room is probably one of the most competitive rooms on our, if not the most competitive room on our team.
Man, there's no doubt about it. Will Johnson is somebody that has got my attention right now. How about you? What are your thoughts on what you're seeing?
Yeah, he looks focused. Like, you can, when certain guys step in a locker room or step on the field, you can tell if someone's dead serious about football. And I think he's one of those guys that like lives, breathes, and dies football, and I think he's gonna be somebody that lives up to the hype of the pick where he was taken. Like I think going into last year, I saw people were saying he should have been a top 10 pick or was projected to be a top 10 pick, and then had the injury, situation, whatever. I don't know. I'm not educated on all that, but I know he fell in the draft because of injury and stuff. So I think he's gonna be a special player.
Michael, it's always great talking to you, man. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.